Boy, am I tired. Jason Weigandt here. We just got back from a long trip to Daytona International Speedway for the Pro Supercross, which I had to announce, and then the big breakthrough. This is our Sienna van, not Sprinter. My son got to race the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross on Sunday and Monday. We got home at 3:30 in the morning, and now it's time to unpack the bikes from our van. Is it a Sprinter van?
No.
Is it as cool as a Sprinter van?
No.
It's just a minivan. But if you think minivans are lame and just for kids, well, you're right, because it turned out to be the perfect place to store these two motorcycles and all the lessons that we learned over the weekend. Because was that your first gate drop motocross supercross style race? Mm-hmm. Did you love it? Mm-hmm. It was your idea to race it too, wasn't it? Okay, and no regrets. So we're gonna start unpacking the van, and I'm gonna talk to you folks about what I learned about how crazy the level of dedication is to try to race at any sort of level in this sport. We weren't there to win. We weren't even there to stay in the lead lap. We just wanted to have fun, and it is a serious task to be able to do that. So let me open the garage here and talk about how this worked. So yeah, my son does get to ride every once in a while. Back in 2020, when I didn't have so much traveling to do, we were riding quite a bit. The last 2 years, I'm back on the road every weekend. Weekend being the key term, that's when people usually ride. So I haven't been able to take him riding much. He probably rode less than once a month on average. Probably rode 8 or 9 times last year at best. But he wanted to race Daytona. We're not gonna do Loretta's. That is way more serious than I wanna do. And we've actually found that the stick and ball sports work better for him because anybody can take it to practice and the coach takes care of it. As a matter of fact, Lane, did you just get on the big travel team? You just got on the big travel baseball team that you had to try out for? Yes, they have rules and regulations in there. I had to sign my name, maybe in blood, to say that I would not interfere in any way, shape, or form. I will not speak to the coaches. I will not speak to the umpires. And if I want to talk to the coach about something, I have to wait 24 hours. So I have a cool down period. And even if I do want to talk to them after 24 hours, I cannot speak to them about the amount of playing time or what position my child plays. Stay out of it. Let the coaches handle it. Not here on the dirt bike side. It's really all about mom and dad. And that's what I learned. Lane, hop out and start grabbing stuff.
All right,
it's really all about the parent, and that's the stress point. But in talking to parents down at Daytona, that's also the good point. So let's get into that. We pack up all this stuff. We get down there. We have a gas 2-stroke 50 and an electric 50 equivalent that allowed us to race 2 classes. We all know more gate drops are better. Hold that while I get the bikes out. We decided to go with the van instead of the Ridgeline pickup truck because Lane had baseball practice till 8 p.m. the day we had to drive to Daytona. That meant we were going to get there at 4 in the morning or maybe stop in a hotel on the way. Less chance that the bikes get stolen. So I had to work on Thursday, finish up 5 or 6 o'clock. It left me with an hour and a half to prep 2 bikes, pack for a trip for myself and for him, take him to baseball practice, which meant have all your baseball stuff, and then hit the road down to Daytona. It was maybe the most stressful 2 hours of my life, but hey, that's what it takes. We're going to bring the bikes over here so we can clean them. Keep aiming at me, dude. Bring it over here. Yeah, like this. So, I'm not the best mechanic. I probably am the worst. And the bikes weren't very well prepped, and that became a problem. So the very first, we get down there, the very first lap, follow me. Here's my bike stand. You ready, everybody? That'll do. So the very first practice, and we've never done this before, on Saturday I go over, I don't know anything about transponders. The transponders you run in GNCCs are zip tied onto the bike. These are different ones that are interchangeable. They allow you to put one transponder on 2 different bikes. I'd never experienced that before. Heck, I didn't even sign up for the race on time. We only got on the alternate list. I didn't know the Daytona Amateur Supercross just sells out. I called like 3 weeks after they opened it. This is my bag of various chemicals here. 2-stroke automatic clutch 50. You have to change the gear oil every single time. Here, go run that into the garage. We sign up on Saturday, then I got to go back to work announcing. I'm at the track till about 1 in the morning. Luckily my mother came down for the trip, so she was able to put him to bed at 8. He didn't even get to watch opening ceremonies at Daytona with his favorite superstar racers and fireworks, which he liked, and me as the announcer. So I sent him back to the hotel and I said, you got to rest up and get ready to go racing for the first time in your life tomorrow. So we get down there 6:30 in the morning on Sunday. It's time for track walk. What did you think of the track when we first saw it?
It was very not rutted.
Yeah, it actually looked pretty easy, right? Way better than we thought. All right, hold this while I get this bike out. You know what direction we're going. Oh, we got a Stasic jammed in here as well. So, Lane, you went out for your very first practice, and what happened on the very first lap of your very first practice? First time ever on that track?
My seat fell off.
Yeah, Now, maybe this was your dad just trying to convince you to ride standing up. Is this the time for drills like that?
No.
No. So you had to ride, what, 1 lap without a seat?
Yeah.
And then tell everybody what happened.
I had to pull off the track and one of the flaggers put my seat back on.
Yes, the yellow flagger put his seat back on, and apparently better than me, because when I put it on, it fell off. When he put it on, it never came off again. Now, if you're saying, dude, just tighten the bolts, that's not how these KTMs and gas machines work. It's this weirdo nub thing, and come over here and get a close-up. There's barely any meat on this to make it actually connect, so it falls off for me all the time. When the yellow flagger puts your seat on, it never comes. See, I can't even get it. When the yellow flagger puts it on, it never comes off. You got to keep that camera aimed at me. Here we go. So seat comes off in his very first practice. Then we go down for practice on this electric bike. Mike Burkeen from the AMA, I thought he was going around to mess with us. He taps my son on the shoulder and he said, "Hey, who's your mechanic?" Lane points at me and he's like, "Your kid's racing?" And I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, "You can't have duct tape over the kill switch on these electric bikes." Now I'm going to show you why I do this. These bikes, somebody must have known about jet skis in the 1980s when they had this magnet kill switch. The way these bikes are designed, this is supposed to be a wrist tether, and when you fall off the bike, it pulls this magnet off and turns the bike off, because the bike won't stall. You gotta hold the camera straight. The bike won't stall because this is an electric bike. So they built in this wrist tether thing that nobody wants. Nobody wants a magnet to potentially pop off in the middle of the race and ruin their ride. So I duct taped it down so it wouldn't pop off. One time we were driving near a race, in the back of the truck, this thing fell off on the highway and we couldn't even race. So I duct taped it down. Mike from the AMA is like, "Don't you know you're supposed to put the rubber band on it?" And I'm like, "What is the rubber band?" And he says, "Well, it's a mini bike inner tube sliced lengthwise. It's the perfect diameter." And I said, I've never heard of this. I didn't know this. How do people know this? I also realized then, moments later, that I had forgotten to switch the transponder from the gas bike back onto the electric bike. So I had to sprint back full speed to get the transponder. And then I realized they also had given us stickers to put on our helmet, which allowed you to access the track for practice. Did we have the stickers on the helmet?
Nope.
What did I have to do? Argue my way onto the track?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was 3 errors. Wrong tape, no transponder, no stickers. That's just in this class. Remember, the seat had already fallen off of the gas bike in that practice. Let's go and put it on a really nice bike stand here. Okay, so then we got to practice. Went okay. You're actually okay with it, right?
Yeah.
But you were way more, for some reason, confident in the electric than the gas. You normally like riding the gas, but it wasn't right, was it?
Uh-huh.
Something was wrong. What was the problem?
The clutch was fried.
Yeah, so what would happen? You'd gas it and it basically wouldn't go?
Yeah.
So this is the tale of 2 classes and 2 bikes. He was not really pumped or confident about this one. As a matter of fact, when you went out for your first heat race on Sunday, I was like, "Are you excited?" And you really weren't talking. And I'm like, "Oh, little buddy, you finally know what it's like to be nervous before a race. This nervous feeling of, I don't want to go out there. Everyone's experienced ever." But then you said that wasn't the problem. You weren't nervous. The problem was?
The bike was wrong.
Yes, the problem was the bike was wrong. He wasn't confident because he said something was wrong with that bike. Now I'm like, whatever, man, that's just nerves talking. Until for the first time in his life, he did a gate drop, and this is the perhaps worst start you've ever seen in your life. Now I learned something there. This bike, since we bought it from my buddy Tim, it had like 40 hours on it. It always takes off slowly. And I thought that was just the nature of the beast, just the way the auto clutch on these things work. It just doesn't engage. It's designed to not be snappy. If you want snappy, get a 65 where you can control the clutch yourself. No, that's just a bike that has a clutch that's already fried. The moto went not very good. The heat race did not go good, right? Yeah, because the bike just wouldn't respond. Then I got on it myself. I never wanted to get on one of these 50s because I thought that would damage them. It literally would not even pull me. J-Bone, tell me if this clutch is this clutch okay? So then I knew we had a clutch problem. Now everybody criticizes me and says that I'm too cheap. I'm too cheap to do this. You know, spend the money to get a qualified mechanic and real parts. Well, I did. I went over to the gas trailer. I said the clutch has got almost 50 hours on it. They were shocked that a bike could even go 50 hours on a clutch. I mean, that's way beyond, I think, what you would use if you're racing the bike. And plus we've ridden in sand and things like that at Club MX, which is extremely tough on the motorcycle. So they put in a new clutch, $300. I did pay for it. I don't get everything for free. One thing I do get though, I get anti-gravity batteries for free. They work in my motorcycle, not these, because that's a kickstart. Are you good at kickstarting that thing?
I get it like 32% of the time.
Okay, so more than 2/3 are on Dad. But my bike, which I did not bring down there, I was way too busy to ride myself, but next year I'm gonna try it all. My bike has a anti-gravity battery in it. This 401 battery, could you believe I just pulled this out of my pocket? Like literally, this fits in my pocket. That is how small and light this battery is. You want the most effective, easy way to take weight off your motorcycle, it's with anti-gravity batteries. Or you can get the battery that has the same weight as your stock battery and way more cranking power. And I'll tell you, even though this YZ has electric start, it's a little slow with the stock battery. It cranks a lot faster. Go to antigravitybatteries.com for batteries for your motorcycle. I mean, look how light this is. Is this baseball weight?
A little bit heavier.
A little bit heavier than a baseball. He could literally play catch with this today. I don't recommend that. Maybe I need to put some words on the screen. Anyway, antigravitybatteries.com. That's good for your motorcycle, but a ton of other things. If you're one of these cool people that know how to camp with like a real Sprinter van and not what I call the Sienna van, they've got giant batteries. You can power your camp for the weekend. They have batteries for your car that can take weight off your car if you're an exotic guy that likes to have the best of the best. Yeah, they have the best batteries in the business. Go to antigravitybatteries.com. So let's see, where were we? The heat race is terrible on that motorcycle. We get the clutch fixed. He rides much better. Hey Lane, I gotta give you credit. You said you were gonna try to jump on the electric bike.
Yeah.
You went to the line of the electric. You weren't nervous, you were just excited.
Yeah.
And you tried to jump the finish line. Had you ever jumped like that?
Yeah.
Oh, just one time at East Bend MX. But otherwise, you were what we would call going for it?
Yeah.
Sending it?
Yeah.
Yes. I was really impressed. The racing brought out the best in him. That was the hardest I'd ever seen him try, hardest I'd ever seen him ride. And I now knew the difference. Before, he was not timid on the gas bike because he was timid of racing a big race at Daytona. He was timid because the bike wasn't running right. So we were over at Gas, we get the clutch fixed. This bike sounds different than it's ever sounded before because the clutch actually works for the first time. Before it was just ultra shrieking high RPM, which I thought was normal, it was not. How did you get in there?
The front.
You're a magic man. And we go out for practice on Monday after the heat races. I'm trying to move this seat so I can get this out of there. You're not gonna let me?
No.
But I gotta get your charger out.
Why can't I just get it?
Well, yeah, I'll be glad. You get anything you want, bub. We go out for practice, and Lane, how much practice did you do on the gas bike with the new clutch on Monday morning?
About half a lap.
And then what happened?
The bike just stalled and stopped in the middle of the track.
Yes, the brand new clutch locked up. They had put the wrong Loctite in, so the bolts backed out and then the engine locked up. And I had to carry this 50 rear wheel in the air from the infield of Daytona all the way to the end of where the Gas Tech trailer is, which is far, far away. Now look, man, this is what I learned. Mistakes happen. Even the best in the game, even qualified professional mechanics do make errors. I thought you said you were gonna get that charger out of there. Put your money where your mouth is, boss. So we lost practice on Monday morning. Clutch is still a problem. Then you had your race finally on the gas bike. And here's the thing, that clutch is adjustable. And I think it was at too low an RPM now. And the bike, it was really slow, wasn't it? I mean, you had Cobras just literally turning left and passing you 5 bike lengths on a straightaway. You're just holding it wide open.
Yeah.
I know Cobras are probably faster, but they're not that much faster. Now your bike sounds like a woods bike, an enduro bike, where it's just running a lugging RPM. So I've got to learn to adjust that. Also along the way, shout out to my buddy Jeremy Albrecht. You might know him as J-Bone, James Stewart's old mechanic, and Jeff Hemmig's old mechanic, and the JGR team manager back in the day. He noticed, hey, your swing arm pivot bolt is out. Yeah, literally, that happened. This whole bolt was gone. And this bolt, the swing arm pivot, had actually backed out. A couple more laps on that track, and the swing arm might have fallen off. We might have had a real injury in our hands. It's a good thing the bike wasn't running right. That probably saved us from that little extra push on the track over the jumps that could have made the rear wheel fall out. I don't know how J-Bo noticed that. He also noticed that the chains weren't tight enough on these bikes. And I also asked my buddy Megawatt, the announcer, why is everybody else's chain when I go to the line and sprocket nice and clean? And these things, where'd you come from? Mine are always a mess. This is the cleanest I can get them. And he's like, you got to use a nylon brush, not a soft bristle brush. You got to use the soft bristle brush on the plastic, not a steel brush, but a hard, medium-ish bristle brush. See, I use this all the time. I was told simple green and a brush. Yeah, I got simple green.
Brad.
I got a brush. I tried it all. Also, another question I have for you people. You have to drain the transmission fluid on that bike every time. What do you do with used transmission oil? I'm just filling this bucket. Someday this bucket's gonna be full and I don't know where to dispose of this. And here's the oil that I've drained out of my 4-stroke dirt bike. I don't know what to do with this either.
Magic man.
What'd you find? Filter oil?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need the filter cleaner.
It by the lid.
Oh, that's why, and it's not popping off. Well, make sure it doesn't fall into there. I've got used oil I don't know what to do with. I've got the wrong bristle brush. All these tricks I learned. I was told to use contact cleaner to clean things, but that blew my mind. You know why? Contact cleaner. Yes, I got this nice box of stuff from the good folks at WD-40 brand and their specialist line. Everybody's like, use contact cleaner, use contact cleaner, use contact cleaner. And I said, I looked at the can. It says clean sensitive electrical parts. It says nothing about use contact cleaner for other things. And everybody's like, duh. You know you can use contact cleaner. You can even wash your hands or clean a stain in the garage floor with it. If I spill that oil over there, I could probably use this contact cleaner. But on the can, it says use for electrical parts. How was I supposed to know that you use contact cleaner for other things? How was I supposed to know that that's not the way the 50 is supposed to sound? How was I supposed to know that that bike was so slow until we actually went on the track with Cobras and saw how much faster they are? How was I supposed to know when you tighten the seat, it might not actually be tight enough? How was I supposed to know to look at the swing arm pivot bolt every time I got on the bike? How was I supposed to know to use the right bristles to clean the chain and sprocket off of the bike? How am I supposed to know these things? The transponder, the helmet sticker, all these things. What's that? Dude, what happened at this event was that I learned this incredible level of respect for all the parents out there that do this. Because unlike baseball practice that we have coming up here in the next half hour, where I'm literally gonna go to the field, drop him off, and leave while the coaches coach for the next 2 hours, everything is on me, the dad, the mechanic. And not just me, but all the dads and all the mechanics are down there. The level of respect I have for the people that are doing this is high. And it would be very easy for me to do the stereotypical thing and make fun of 50 dads and mini dads for taking it too seriously. And look, many of them do. I was talking to a dad that talks about riding 3 or 4 days a week. I just learned in one weekend how expensive it is to race on these things. I can't imagine doing it multiple days a week and every single weekend. And that's just maintaining the motorcycle. That's not driving hours and hours to the track. And let's get into all the other things if you want to be good. Homeschooling and things like that. People are crazy, but they're also dedicated. They want their kids to do well. As a memento, they gave us the old clutch basket. The fried plates are in the trash. You think you're funny. So my respect level of what it takes, the motivation to get there, it's the same for all of us. It's the same reason I'm sending into baseball camp today. Baseball has become easier for us to do, and now I want him to be the best he could possibly be. So I'm paying for a 4-day camp so he can get better at baseball. If motocross is the thing you think your kid excels most, riding 4 days a week is probably better than 2. Getting a coach and going to a training facility is probably better than riding without any guidance. It's just the same way it works at every sport, but here it's so much harder. And there's so many unknown things. There isn't a book on this. You can go to YouTube, you can learn a few things, but there isn't a playbook on what contact cleaner is and where do you dump this oil and what sound should the bike make. Good luck putting that in a manual to say what the bike should sound like if the clutch is working right or not. It is so hard. And what's it sound like now? Yeah, now it's too low. So now I've got to figure out how you take the clutch cover off. I got to drain the oil again, and I got to figure out how you adjust it, and we have to do some testing, which is a lot of work. And again, multiply that times the people that are trying way harder than us. I mean, look, I spent not $1 technically going to this race because I was paid by Daytona to be there. During our first heat race, his gas 50 class was a little bit oversold. They had 3 more bikes than they did gates. That meant 3 riders had to start on the outside behind the start or beside the starting gates. And that's when the tensions began to rise. Because these people were paying, I don't know, $70 or $90 a class, I think. They had driven down there from who knows, New England, upstate New York. Imagine how much money they were spending on hotels or the camper or the truck that they have. And then their kid doesn't even get a gate. So we volunteered. I was like, dude, we'll give up our gate. We're just here for fun. And then as the race began, that's when the temperature started to go up. And then as the race began to transpire and kids were battling for positions. And again, this really matters to these parents. The temperature was starting to go up again. That doesn't make the parents psycho. I mean, Lane plays basketball and baseball. I know the feeling when he has the ball in his hands or when the ball's rolled to him and he's the first baseman. You want him to catch it. You want him to get the out. You want him to score the basket. It is the same thing when your kid is battling for third in a race and fourth place is bearing down on him or vice versa. The temperature starts to rise. These were good, friendly, helpful people. The amount of people that wanted to help us. I mean, I was getting texts from people saying, come over to our pit. We'll feed you. We'll work on the motorcycle. We'll do whatever you want. Everybody down in the staging area, even though we were racing them, were any of the kids mean?
No.
Were all the parents friendly?
Yeah.
Was everybody like patting you on the shoulder? How many people said, did you have fun this weekend? Just give me an estimate.
Everyone that walked by me.
Yes, exactly. These are good, friendly people. I can't fault them for the amount of effort that I've now learned it takes to truly do this. Of course the emotions are going to rise and the temperature is going to get a rise if you end up with a bad gate pick or your kid doesn't do as well as they want. It's just the nature of being competitive. And I saw it too because that was the hardest I ever saw him ride in the electric class. Now it didn't work out in the 50cc division. Like I said, the bike definitely didn't have much power. It was running too low of an RPM to really get that hit. And I don't know, you were like 30 something in the two-stroke class?
Yeah.
But you did a lot better on electric. What'd you finish?
21st.
21st out of like 37. Not bad for your first race like that. He's done some hare scrambles, but never motocross. And it made me think, oh man, maybe you got some talent. Maybe you have some skill. What if we rode 2-3 days a week? What if we did more of these? What if we went to a training facility and had a real coach and a real mechanic, someone better than dad? And that's the scary part. You can always work harder. You can always put in more time. We know that. But in this sport, the costs, literally and also mentally, physically, are a lot higher than others. It's like you just won a Grand Prix race back in the day where they give you like the giant feather thing. This sport is hard. That is what makes it fun, right? That feeling of nerves when you go to the starting gate is unlike any other sport. You might get nervous in a big game, but there's nothing like that pit of your stomach feeling and the adrenaline you get when you're going to the starting line. And that's why people like Ryan Dungey can't find accurate replacements for that when it's over. We just added trash to the van. We also know the danger is higher and the effort and money required is higher. I mean, what other sport are you combining? What other sport are you combining physical training of the highest level with also mechanical work at the highest level together? I live in Mooresville, North Carolina. They're working on NASCAR machines right now. Best mechanics and engineers in America are doing that. But the physical training part and the diet and the nutrition and all that, not nearly as critical there. This sport is both physical and mechanical.
Something like his baseball camp and we have to leave. It's like...
Yeah, we have to go soon, don't we? Hi.
What?
Baseball camp's almost up. We know the effort that we have to put in this sport, and the highs and the lows are more extreme than others. And I just have so much respect for the people that are able to do it. But at the same time, this is a small sport. There's not as much information out there. You have to just learn your way. I mean, the mechanics in this sport, they're not engineers who did, you know, master's degree work at college to learn what they know. They just know it. They just know what they know through years of trial and error and experience. I don't have any of that. I got a little bit of it over the weekend. We were much smarter on Monday, probably 800% smarter on Monday than we were on Sunday in one day. But it was also an unforgettable experience, as stressful as it was. I mean, seats falling off, clutches frying, not having transponders and stickers and messing all that up. I mean, by Sunday, I felt like a shell of a human and a horrible dad. But when we went to leave on Monday night, we pulled out of the speedway to head home. What did you do?
Started crying.
He did. He started crying. I've gone to Disney World and Disneyland with my kids, and it's always sad when you're leaving Disney, every kid's greatest, happiest place on earth. But I've never seen him that sad as when we left the infield of Daytona International Speedway. Now, breaking news, Daytona isn't like that every day of the year. The infield is not filled with buddies and campers and dirt bikes, and there's racing going on nonstop. But it felt like that for 2 days. And I've never seen him that sad to leave something. And remember, half of our weekend was a disaster, but it was that fun. The sport is tough. The sport is difficult. They don't give you a manual. I don't know how people know these things, but my respect level for everyone that does it is higher than ever. And we'll be back and we're gonna do more. Thanks to antigravitybatteries.com for backing this video, and for you for helping me make the most of my time. I actually got work done cleaning this van while I produced a video. That's probably the thing I feel best about. You've got to find efficiencies with a sport that takes this much effort.